Is live. This is real-time ham radio. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why I did the announcer voice, but I did it, and we're here. This is our first Monday of the month show, and we are doing a Q&A. I've been talking about this for 8 weeks now, so if you guys don't have your questions into the form in the chat down below that my friend Frank is going to put into the comment section over there, I don't know what's wrong with you, but if you have to cut in line, there's only a small price to pay. It is a voluntary donation of a super chat, and you will cut in line. Jim and Ben and I will stop whatever mid-sentence. We will stop. We will answer your question because it is that important, and it's not going to be considered rude at all for you to cut in line. We actually encourage it. And we have a special guest tonight, which is going to help us encourage it. This is Ben from the Ham Radio Rookie YouTube channel, as well as from VFComms. Ben, what does VF stand for? Very fine.
No, velocity factor.
Velocity factor. That actually makes perfect sense now that I think about it a half a second.
Yeah.
Ben makes the roll-up Faraday J-pole antennas, and you've got a Faraday cloth magic carpet that you're rolling out, and you have a Faraday, I keep saying Faraday Moxon antenna.
Yes.
That you're working on. Have you released that already?
I have, actually, and we've got one of them here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
That's 2 meters?
Yep. It's 2 meters.
That's
It'll
pretty cool.
Just work on 70, but like any antenna is a compromise, so I just choose to make it for whatever band it is.
I like the way you said that. Any antenna is a compromise, as opposed to that antenna that you like, that you bought with your own hard-earned money. That one right there is a compromise. Speaking of compromise antennas, I have an antenna to give away. Thank you, Ben, for teeing it up. And just to give you kind of a preview, it comes with a hat. And I'm not going to put it on. That way it doesn't have my sweat in it. Unless you want it, and then I can do that a little bit extra. But that's how it would look, hat-on-hat model.
Is your background chameleon green? Is that how it's working?
No, my background is TO green. The antenna that I'm talking about that is, of course, a compromise is the 80 through 10 lightweight end-fed sloper. And this is going to be one of those giveaways. And this one's going to cost me a bit to ship because there's 130 feet of wire in here. Not to mention what appears to be, from the size of that bugger, a 240 43 toroid. So this thing can handle some This thing can handle some power. So you're going to get the hat and you're going to get the antenna. And we've got an interruption super chat. Hold on. From Frank. Thank you, Frank. Super chat just for fun. Keep up, gents. Okay, will do. Thank you, Frank.
Noted.
Are you paying attention?
Right.
Curious, how heavy is that antenna, that chameleon?
It is. I mean, I could go get a scale if you wanted to stand.
No.
I mean, the 240 is iron, powdered iron core, and then it's got 130 some feet of wire, and it's got another compensation coil to get 10 meters on it. So I want to say 2 to 3 pounds, but that's a guess without getting the scale out.
Yeah, because I got something I can lead into that with.
Okay.
Is I'm making like the Faraday cloth, use the tape, and so
ooh.
This here is 80 feet. But there's no toroid on
1.5 pounds.
Yeah, but this weighs hardly anything at all. Anyway, I'm working on that. That's probably a year from now project. As much as I want to say I'll do it 6 months, but yeah.
Life gets in the way, yeah. So all the giveaways on the show are U.S. shipping only, except for the one that Ben's giving away, or except for if you would like to pay for the shipping yourself. So just keep that in mind if you enter, and you can always enter and ham it forward. Just let us know, and we'll redraw, because we like to collect lots and lots of comments. We will ham it forward. So Ben's YouTube channel and Ben's website are linked in the description if you want to see what Ben has. If you want to ask any specific questions about the velocity factor of Faraday cloth, which is kind of the magic sauce of what Ben's working on, and obviously the name of his company, feel free. Oh, hold on. Chris, howdy neighbor Ben. How did your carbon fiber antenna handle the winter?
It did, and I'm working on, again, that's way too many projects, but yeah, that one's coming soon. See, if I move, my camera doesn't do a damn thing. So at any rate, that carbon fiber whip has withstood a winter. It's withstood about 100 kilometer an hour winds. Like, it literally was 90 degrees bent, like 90
that
degrees
is 62 in freedom units, people.
Yeah,
just FYI.
and it so far it's handling things really well. So now I just got to figure out how to professionally attach the Faraday cloth to it. or a Faraday tape, and then hopefully I'll have that product out. But there's a few twists and turns, of course, with anything. So that one.
So that one, you wrap the Faraday material around the carbon fiber, or you use the carbon fiber itself as the antenna, or what did you do with that? I remember you doing it, but it's been a long time.
So carbon fiber, its velocity factor is like 0.2. It's like horrific,
useless,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so like sure you can use it to receive and stuff, but it won't transmit. So and the efficiency of antenna is the radiation resistance over the total resistance plus the radiation. And if you put a conductor along the outside of it, then suddenly it becomes better. So what I did is I just took Faraday tape and I taped like a pin stripe along the outside of it just to see how it would do. And holy darn, I've got like 14,000 kilometer contacts. Granted, it was like during solar maximum, and there could be, everybody will tell me how it works or doesn't work. But I know friends of mine that are a few blocks from me couldn't get out nearly as far as I could with the same amount of power, same radio. So it's one of those where I do know it works. I just need to sort of finish off the product and get it out there. But like you said, life gets in the way. So.
That was so cute the way he said that.
I know. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the question and the interruption. Let's see. So that Frank looked up the weight of the antenna. He dropped it in the chat. It's 1.5 pounds. It's a hefty boy. Hint, hint.
Okay.
Colin and VK. G'day, Colin. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So that roll up one, that, again, further down the line, that one currently being tested is 6 ounces. So whatever a toroid weighs and a BNC, that should be a little lighter, maybe. But it also hums in the wind. So there's all sorts of, there's different things. You got to twist it. And when you put a twist into it, then it doesn't vibrate as much. But yeah.
So that's a pro tip for when you put ratchet straps on your truck. Put a little twist in it.
Yeah. Well, one thing I noticed
like a Henway?
Sorry?
Is that like a Henway?
You know what? I'm not falling for that one. That's it.
I got it.
I was like, I hope he shuts up long enough to let me say this.
Right. We've got another TO in the chat.
But
I thought I had you too. I thought he's going to rattle it. What the hell's a Henway?
Oh, nice.
Howdy, TO.
So the when you twist it, it shortens up a little bit, especially if you have a really, really long length. So if you're like super, I'm allowed to swear? I'm going to do it anyways. Super anal retentive, and you want to get that like 1 centimeter out, you can twist it up so that 1 centimeter is being pulled out of that antenna, and you can tune it so finely, it would be crazy. But that's not how I work. So, yeah.
So real quick, we have our friend Chris Bricker in the chat who likes to interrupt and say things like putting ketchup on a hot dog and
he's a crazy man.
The pork chop sandwich or whatever it was. This is a question that was asked and is not in the form that I know of, and there's no super chat, so I'm sorry I can't answer it. Same thing, Eamon. It's not just Chris, it's everybody. But let's do that giveaway thing. Let's get that thing started. Because we got two to give away.
A valid question, though. Chris was asking about.
It is, but he can't. Rules are rules, man.
He can go. He can publish. He can post his question in the form.
Put it in the form.
Oh,
follow the rules, right, Ken?
Follow the rules. He's just trying to buy his way ahead of the line, or is he just not even spending the money?
Well, I mean, you have to buy your way ahead of the line.
He's being a ham. He's being cheap. I respect it, but I got to follow the rules. Without rules, we wouldn't have a society. I'm giving Chris a hard time because I know Chris.
Right. 2 HF rigs that I have is the 991A. I wanted the Shack in the Box, and I wanted to have everything. And then
you must be Canadian.
Why did I say A?
No, you're breaking the rules. You're being polite. The rules. You can't answer the question.
I'm still going to.
I don't even know what the question was. Yeah, go ahead.
What rigs am I rocking? And I got a G90. Because it'll tune a noodle, and I'm worried about some of my antennas. I experiment a lot, and the fact that I haven't let the smoke out of a radio so far is pretty freaking amazing. Knock on wood.
Right.
I have gotten some really, really warm
out there. It decided to move. It was kind of weird, and the tracking is turned off. I did something, and it changed the zoom and.
You're just so sexy that the camera can't handle it.
Indeed. Well, I know I'm so chunky it had to zoom out. I'm afraid to make hand gestures now because it's going to do things.
You do this and then balloons fly or something.
Right.
You're like,
Well,
what is going on?
I'm on a Mac. There it is.
There you go.
There it is.
You got to have it turned on.
Oh,
Yeah, you
I
can
got
turn
it.
it
turned
off.
it off.
I turned mine off.
Yeah, it's fun for about 5 minutes.
Except when you're recording something and you're just in a roll and you see balloons coming, you're like, ah! There you go.
Party popper, party popper. All right, we're at the halfway point. Hit the draw button. You snooze, you lose, folks.
All right. Please
If you are a winner, there is a form in the description of the video down below. Fill out the form so I know how to get this thing to you.
What about
Who's gonna
overseas?
They got to pay shipping if they want it.
Well, James Cook's
James
not overseas.
Cook, congratulations. Isn't that a pirate name?
I was about to go. Is he a
I
captain?
think it
Is he in the
was.
military?
Are you Captain Cook, sir?
He is
Right.
now. Thank you, Frank. Frank has dropped the link for you, James. James, congratulations.
Very
Yeah.
good, James.
You have won the lightweight end-fed sloper, which is actually kind of a heavyweight end-fed sloper.
Is
'Cause
that
it's
the
got
Is that the LEFS?
80 through 10? Yeah, they make a 40 through 10.
I should have put my name in for that. I want that antenna, but I refuse to pay the money for it because I'm a cheap.
Because you're a ham.
Yes.
What?
So we did have some-
disagree with the hams not wanting to spend money because my
hams
my
spend a lot
business
of
wouldn't
money.
exist if it were that case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of membership milestone super chats come across. We had a couple of people in green text. Thank you all for being members. If you'd like to be a member, you get first crack at a lot of things by being a member. There's a little insider chat room on the Discord, link at the top over there. And the Toads digital interface board is back in stock in the US. We have 51 units. 51. So temporarily offline.com to order your Toads digital interface. Corey, thank you. Good evening from Massachusetts. Good evening to you, sir.
Now, Bricker's still trying. Okay, he put his question in the form. Now he's asking a question about what other questions can he put in the form.
Can't answer you.
It's kind of sketchy.
Nope. Don't ask to ask, just ask. We still can't answer you unless you use the form.
So is that like the person who sends you an email and then texts you saying check your email?
Yeah.
Yes.
Your boss
Yeah.
saying, "Did you get the email I sent you?"
Oh,
Yes, I did, and I ignored it, like I do most emails from you.
my
All
boss
right.
actually got to the point where she calls me up and tells me what's coming up next because she's frustrated because I don't look at any of the stuff.
Mine usually comes to my doorway to annoy me with his annoyingness.
Wow.
Oh, Lee, you are in the front of the line.
Yep.
You're in the front of the line for whatever you want. I've answered that question. Now we must go back on to regularly scheduled questions.
All right, first question. This is from
Yeah.
Otis Corbett, KJ4FHG. That is hard to say. Otis said, "What computer model would TO recommend?" Why TO? To convert a Linux machine for use with ham radio. Anything.
Right. Ben's got an answer. He wants to go. I see the
I know
twitch.
exactly why they were asking you because it's Linux, not or Linux or whatever. Because that's not my thing. I can operate in it, but I have no clue.
I'll give you a bonus answer to that. Technically, pedantically, as I love to say, it's actually Linux because his name is Linus and he pronounces Linux as Linux. But I say Linux because
He's Swedish.
I knew how to say it before he told me how to say it properly, and I'm American, and we don't ever update our memory banks.
So this is a 2013 Mac Pro trash can, about $200, used from multiple sources that are a little more reputable than eBay.
Yeah.
It runs Linux Mint like a scalded dog.
Let me see if I can
Nice.
find it.
A 2012 Mac Pro cheese grater would run it even better, but I'm still got Mac OS on that boy.
Well,
But you can get those little what was the one I did the video on? The GMK Tech. It's running an N97, N98, N100 CPU. It'll run Linux just fine because I've had Linux on it. I actually loaded SteamOS or Bazite 1, I can't remember, on mine to play with it, and it worked fine. And that's all Linux based.
I ended up buying three of those.
They're
got, like-
great little machines.
Yeah. My shipping computer over there, my ham radio, display with all the waterfall and everything runs that at home. and I got a spare one in case either of them decide to give it up. So.
And Ken Lewis said N100s are passé.
Passe, correct.
N150
All
are the
passe.
new ones. I think mine's an N97. It might be an N100. I don't remember, but honestly, any of them. And what's interesting, and the reason I mentioned the Macs. So this is a 2013 trash can back here. This thing I'm pointing to with my thumb. It does not run the current Mac OS, but man, oh man, it runs Linux like nobody's business. It's a great machine.
So my answer for this is one of these B-Link type machines, which is an N150.
That's the other one I was going to mention. Yep.
And it runs off of 12 volts, which is why it's really good for ham radio. Ham radio software doesn't require a lot of processing power. You could get away with a Raspberry Pi 3 and still do about 90% of your WSJTX decodes, enough to, win your awards and get your point across that you've done the thing. But you're going to miss just a couple of decodes on a Pi 3. This is much faster than that. And this is actually the computer that I have behind me running this screen. I have the taller version that does the NAS, but it's still the same N150 processor. So discount code for the interface again, temporarylyoffline.com. It's already on sale for all y'all big boys that need one.
There's one thing that I was experimenting with on these is there's man, I can't remember what it is. And of course it's at my house, but I've got the AI audio cleanup little plugin that basically I have my 991A comes into the computer, and it runs the AI audio cleanup, and it is beyond spectacular. Like, you can pull things out of like nothing, but that is where the CPU will end up getting used up, just in case somebody decides to do that kind of thing. Because I have no idea why I was saying that. Maybe because I'm flexing, I was using AI, maybe.
Yeah, Don is correct. Don has used one of these B-Links for a while. This GMK Tech, they were talking about this in the chat too. This is actually a pretty neat machine just because of the size of it. I mean, I could put this in just about any Go box.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Jim, you're on mute, but go ahead. Go on with your bad self. Did you have to fart or something?
I don't know. I probably said something unkind about a Canadian, and I don't know.
That's okay.
I kid.
See you, Big John.
No, that thing is great. That GMK Tech box, I've had Linux on mine. I've got Windows on it now. It ain't the fastest thing in the world. I do not recommend it for video processing.
No.
At all? No, don't do that. But for ham stuff, it's jam up.
You might have noticed this too. It takes forever to boot up, or is that just me?
Nope, that's not just you.
Okay.
It takes a minute for that thing to boot. And Windows updates are somewhat painful as well. But
yeah. That was not the one I wanted to... Patrick, I can't answer that. Sorry. Follow the rules.
Are you ready for a new question?
There was something in the chat that I wanted to click on, and then the chat rolled up, and now I can't find it.
I hate it when the chat does that.
Squirrel.
John, that's one browser's worth of open tabs. I have 4 browsers that I'm running on this computer because I have lots of hats that I wear.
Darren, as far as I know, if it's an Intel Mac Mini, game on.
Yep.
If it's Apple Silicon, I think that will work with the ARM version. But I only have one Apple Silicon machine, which is my video production box here, and I'm not going to screw with that.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But
I'm not
sure.
It was Jody. It was Jody. When you made the comment about saying something bad about a Canadian, Jody piped up right away because he knew you were talking about him.
Yeah, I was. He's my Canuckistanian nemesis.
Is there Canadians around here?
Couple of them in the chat. Yeah.
Some Aussies and an Irishman too, I believe.
Oh, so we've got all
2.
the colonies. All
Maybe
the colonies
3
are here.
Yeah, we do. We do. All the colonies are here.
Right. Yes. That is. Sorry, I clicked it. You clicked it. We both clicked it. Yes, Patrick.
Wow, this is so productive.
What's the next question, Jim? From
Okay.
the people who can ask ahead of time.
Geekiest guy, KH6 Golf Golf asks, direction
Geek.
finding tips and tricks would be helpful. If you have
Yeah.
land nav tips, he'll take those too. On foot, mobile, maybe a more elaborate video on tracking down RF.
We should talk. I was going to say we should have Ben demonstrate this thing right here.
Well, so this is okay, and everybody, I know this is just me selling my own product, but like, yeah, so you've got like a 6-ounce antenna that is a bug screen essentially. Wind blows through it, and it just folds up into like a little tiny package, and you can carry it anywhere.
Look at him talk about his tiny package.
I mean, be proud of what you got. You know what I'm saying?
You know
Right.
what? You gotta. Some girls like it that way,
Oh, Geek says we've already answered this question, but we're in the middle of it, and it's a shameless promotion. So let's keep going.
All right. Anyways, so yeah, there we go. So it rolls up into like this. You
That's
actually
awesome.
throw it in a cargo pants pocket, but is it the best one out there? It's a Moxon. It is directional. I know that it does as good as a 3-element Yagi that I built out of similar materials. So you get way less size for basically the same amount of buck. If you're starting out, trying to get like a highly tuned Yagi and stuff like that, I think would be a waste of time. Get something lighter, smaller that you can move around with and learn with. And then once you learn your lessons, then start getting into something where you cut it down and you tune it perfectly to the frequency, and then start doing horizontal versus vertical, and maybe even have a circular polarized, because each one of those antennas are going to receive a fox hunt in a different way. And it's amazing how fast you can start spotting things with different antennas. In fact, I guess that's one thing I'd recommend is carry a couple antennas with you. Even if it's a rubber ducky and a Moxon, the rubber ducky will tell you, like, it won't tell you direction, but it'll give you a better signal strength. And then the Moxon will tell you which way that signal's coming from. And if the signal goes away and you can't get on the rubber ducky, then you're really far away and you need to start paying attention on direction and not power and all that kind of stuff.
I can't answer that. Sorry.
When is the 10-meter coming out?
Well, Ben can.
Oh, man.
Because
You
he's
know how
Canadian.
big-
He's just polite.
He's polite
I'm played? Really?
compared
You
to
don't
So
want
far.
to see what happens when Canadians get mad. That's why we don't do it.
what you refuse to eat Timbits and drink coffee.
No, you know that the Geneva Convention was started because of us, right?
Really,
Yeah.
I figured we were responsible for that.
No. They started looking at what the Canadians did in World War I, and they're like, "Oh, we can't do that anymore."
So as
it's-
far
it's
as
not
direction
something
finding
I'm proud of.
goes, the other thing you want to get to with direction finding is when you get up close, that signal is going to be everywhere around you. If it's 3 to 5 feet in front of you, it's everywhere around you, no matter what you do. So then you want to get a step attenuator to sort of attenuate the signal down a little bit and make it artificially weaker to the radio, so you can kind of fine tune where it is. And then you can also remove the antenna to detune
There we go.
away from the ability to listen. So you have to have a couple of different strategies. One for I'm 10 miles away and need to figure out what part of town it's in, and then another one for when I'm 5 feet away and need to figure out where it is. When I did my first fox hunt, that was one of the things that I ran into. I think I just lost my nope. Okay, that was one of the things that I ran into was when we got up close, I couldn't find the fox because it was everywhere around me, and I didn't have the skills, the techniques, and the talent at that point. So it's fun. Like, just set up a Baofeng and an MP3 player on loop, and turn the Baofeng on Vox and play in your backyard. That'll get you the close in stuff real easy.
And take the antenna off was my trick. That was the final, like, I get it. Because as soon as I took the antenna off, I'm like, oh. And that's something where if the Fox is really low power, you got to be right on top of it for your radio to pick it up, and you literally walk into it.
Thanks for the super chat,
Awesome.
Jason. With no question,
Jason,
that's like a bonus.
Thank you. Yeah,
So he kind of
I
maybe
like it.
paid for that 10-meter question.
with the subtle 5.56 also.
Right.
Let's be nice and talk in calibers. Yeah,
Right. Are you ready for a new question?
we are ready. Bring it.
Okay. Todd Blue K5 TBC wants to know the best multi-band antenna for an FTDX10 for his new shack build. He said he is 880 to 900 feet. That's oddly specific. Above sea level, so I live on a hill. I have many trees in my backyard. I do have push-up poles that can reach 35 feet.
Does the hill go in the direction of the DX that you are interested in?
Well, I mean, he's on the hill. I mean, there might be
Yeah,
some
so-
hill
doesn't mean he's
above
on the
him.
peak either, though.
If you put if you put a vertical up on top of the hill and you have your radial sloping downward, then you open up that direction. That's the whole POTA performer
Yeah.
theory going on.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah, you have that.
have you seen what Ham Jazz has been doing with Mylar though?
Mhm.
Is that
Yep.
he creates the counterpoise, so like a Faraday cloth, and he hooks it up as the counterpoise, but then he elevates it so it directs the the wavelength of the bubble. Holy cow! Like I'm waiting to try it on this one, but like children and the things get in the way of me doing it. Stupid kids. Keep me from playing radio. So yeah.
Right. Jody's got a question. I can't answer it. Sorry.
How much
Well,
am I-
I
Chris,
think he's.
I
I don't.
Can't
yeah,
answer it. Sorry.
Can't answer it. I mean, a
John.
dollar super chat would get you jumping the line. I'm just saying.
Just $1 per question.
$1.
Helps you
And
get
was
the
your-
answers you
See,
need.
it did it again.
So-
Why?
hex beam.
It was
though,
classy,
assuming
though.
your hex beam is
Frame the shot.
that is as simple as getting a cheap umbrella and Faraday fabric and then one of my fancy dancy BNC connectors, and you're off to the races. So that is one
Right.
thing I want to do. I'm kind of wondering if I should flatten it out though, and maybe I don't know. I'll have to play with it. But cheap umbrellas are they're cheap. That's awesome. Where'd Jim go?
Jim is trying to fix his camera.
Uh-oh. Or did he have to sneeze or something?
I think he might have had to sneeze. Did he get a question out before he disappeared? Did I miss it? Oh, it was the antenna question.
I saw a few blast by and I read one of them. So,
Yeah.
we're lost.
I'm lost without Jim. Jim, I'm going to bring you back real quick to answer this.
No.
What was the question about the antenna?
What's the best multi-band antenna for an FTDX10 for my new shack build?
Okay.
Right. Man, do they want to build it or do they want to like buy it? I'm finding more and more that's usually the first question you need to ask.
Right. So I think what would work out really well for that would be one of those Rybakov design antennas. It's a 25-foot vertical radiating element with a 4-to-1 balun at the bottom, and it's usually tunable on most bands with the internal tuner inside of your FTDX10. Doesn't take up a lot of space. Put a bunch of counterpoise wires at the bottom. Don has a great suggestion for a DX Commander. When you say the best, it really comes down to budget. How about a 80-foot tall tower with 4x4 stacked Yagis on a rotator?
Yeah.
That would be the best, quote unquote. But you also need tens of thousands of dollars, not just a little, but tens of thousands.
And if you're going to do the Rybakov,
Thank you, Tierney.
My random stick, the fiberglass, the carbon fiber pole one that we were talking about earlier with Faraday tape on the outside, it gets rid of the wire. So you're not hoisting a wire up into the air. You just extend the pole out, put in a feed point at the bottom, and then a Faraday cloth or counterpoise, and you off to races. In fact, that's what I've been using in my backyard for the last 8 months.
Yeah, this is where we talk about compromise too, because it depends on your budget. It depends on your space that you have available. It depends on your mission. Are you portable? Are you base station? You said an FTDX10, so probably a base station, but there's no reason why you couldn't carry that thing around.
Yeah.
And why did you say one when it takes at least two? Patrick, I agree with that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, thank you, Jody. I only make statements, no questions. I appreciate that about you. That's what I appreciate about you. Another Canadian show. I submitted a question about takeoff angles from Tierney. Thank you very much, my friend. I will look up that. So, wait a minute. Hold on, Jim. Do you see that question from Tierney O'Day? Because if you do, it's kind of a bonus tip there. He submitted it in the form, and then he
Yeah.
paid the
Yeah,
head of the
there it
line
is.
fee. Yeah, go ahead. We got to do it. It's the rules.
Oh, so I got to find him in the spreadsheet. All right, hang on.
No pressure.
You said there it is. I thought you found it.
No, I looked. I didn't know what you were talking about. I was looking in the chat. I don't see him. No, no, no. Does this spreadsheet not dynamically update? There it is. Oh, he's way toward the bottom. I'm having trouble understanding takeoff angles. My home is at 3,600 feet elevation and on the east side of the, come on.
Well, first of all, 3,600 feet, because I'm about the same height, you need more oxygen, my friend.
He's on the east
I
side
know
of
the
the
feeling.
Cascades. He hears people mention takeoff angles with respect to their location when considering antenna options, trying to figure out the best option for me. My grid square is yada. My backyard faces east away from the tall mountains, but I operate portable all over central Oregon.
How close are these tall mountains to you?
He didn't mention. So far, he has an end-fed half-wave, a random wire, and a 17-foot stainless whip for antennas. He also has 33-foot fiberglass mast for his car. Uses his 7300 in the backyard. Sometimes he operates at higher elevations with portable gear, 705 and smaller CW radio. My trees are 60 feet tall. It just depends on where you are on the mountain in relation to what dirt is between you and who you're trying to talk to.
So I think the
said
funnest.
you're on the east
yeah.
side of it. If you're on the east side of the mountains, right? I don't know if that's really east right now, but we're going to call this east. If you're on the east side of the mountains,
It's east for you.
and you're the Mac Pro right there, and you have the dirt between you and the west, you're not going to get Hawaii, California stations that way very well at all, if at all, unless you have a very steep takeoff angle, which means then you're getting into NVIS territory. It depends on distances and stuff, but generally the shallower the takeoff angle, you have circular ionosphere, and the shallower angle goes farther before it hits the ionosphere and bounces down much farther away. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It's basic Euclidean geometry.
He was also
Is that
asking
Pythagoras?
about what it was though, and like if you look at the
depends.
plot of an antenna, the side plot of an antenna, you'll see like the side of a donut, and the takeoff angle is the point at which, like, say if this arm is coming up, as it comes up and it goes to there, that's the maximum distance it has, which means then you have the maximum dB gain. And then the angle of that from the ground will give you your takeoff angle. So like if you have an NVIS antenna, the plume will be up fairly high and you'll have this, versus if you're down low, it would come out like that. So it all depends on the type of antenna that you're using, and then reflector and everything. Like
Very good
verticals have a really good low takeoff angle, but they receive everything, including all the static of every solar panel
They're
within
a lot noisier.
500 blocks of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's okay though. So I will give you a homework assignment. I don't think we've ever done this before on Nuggets, but I think today is the day.
Grades will be checked.
There is a piece of software. Yeah, report into Ham Church, and we'll either praise you or we'll put you in the sin bin.
The sin bin.
The sin bin. There is this program called Whisper, WSPR, Weak Signal Propagation Reporter, and don't let the weak signal thing fool you. Put up each of these antennas that you have. Be lazy about it. Who cares? You're just trying to get some comparison, some base of reference. Set Whisper up, let it run for 24 hours. It's a very low power mode by design. And what it'll do is it'll plot this out, and then you can go on, I think there's a website called whisper.rocks. There's another one called whisper.live, WSPR. Mm-hmm. And it'll plot out on the earth where your signal has gone, and you'll be able to see kind of this far field plot, this real life far field plot. And so what we're talking about with this mountain being in the way and your signal hitting it, if you go to Whisper after running this test for 24 hours, you should see that there's like nothing received on the far side of the mountain. That's not the antenna for you, And then you put your dipole up and you're getting over the mountain on, the one side where you weren't before. That's the antenna for you. So that, I'm not saying that is the actual answer, but that's how you actually find out the answer in reality in your space. But, there's lots of things you can do to kind of bend your signal in one direction or the other, but it also depends on your mission. If you're just trying to make random contacts, put an antenna up, have fun, play with it, enjoy it. Get bored with it, put another antenna up.
We've said 100 times on this show and others, every antenna is a compromise in some way. Absolutely. And Ben talked about verticals and their affinity for noise. I'm using a vertical because it's what works for me in my yard setup with power lines and trees and hillbilly in-laws and everything else. So, you know, you may be able to sling up an 80-meter end fed, which would be awesome, but I can't.
132 feet. I can't.
You were talking about your boss earlier. Did you notice that there was a super chat from my boss?
I saw that she mentioned it.
Yeah.
I'm not. She's following me everywhere. It's awkward.
She's checking up on you, making sure you don't embarrass her, since she's already called your name out on him, that you do all the actual work in the antenna business. He's
totally.
He's just the pretty face.
I talk more to Autumn than I do to Ben.
It's true. Yeah. Uh-oh. Does it require trimming for the tri-band functionality? Okay, so the Faraday is not a tri-bander by any stretch. I actually make a 70 centimeter, a 2 meter, and the 1.25 meter or the 222 megahertz one will be coming out. Hopefully, I don't know if Autumn's still here. She could probably let us know, but it's soon. And the thing is that all of them might work on those frequencies. They won't work well. Again, coming into the compromise thing.
Yep.
So there really is no trimming. The only one that can trim well is the 6 meter, and part of that is that the band is freaking massive. So all I did was that I tuned it on the upper end of the band, so you can do a fold over at the top. You just pull it through the toggle, and that will bring the frequency down as you do the fold over. But at the same time, you end up losing some of the match. So the match doesn't go as good. So it'll drift down, but up all at the same time. But it works across the entire band. Did that make sense?
Yes.
It makes sense.
Okay.
Ooh. Oh, I saw that. Somebody already entered. Oh, that was Autumn. That was Autumn's comment that got her entered.
All right. Are you ready for a new question?
Well, before I have a little bit of an announcement to make, Don, I can't answer this question. You got to put it in the form or in the form of a super chat. Don, you know better. Go ahead.
The 902 megahertz, isn't that's fantastic, is it not?
These Canadians, Jim.
I know. You can't take them anywhere. I mean, we threw a war and then they had to screw everything up.
There it is. And it comes,
That's the
in
mesh
a
tie
fancy
stick.
tie.
I love this. This is such a great idea. If only I had a day job.
Stick. But at any rate, we do sell a 900 megahertz one. Is somebody trolling me to start promoting my stuff? Because I don't want to be that guy. 33 centimeter, I don't have yet. Yeah.
Ben, if you provide something of value, then people should be willing to give you value for it, and you shouldn't be ashamed of that. And you do provide something of value.
That's right.
Well, true, but this is like me coming into your living room and selling vacuums to everybody. I'm not that guy, you know?
Yeah, but we invited you in. You're like the Kirby guy or the Rainbow Man.
To be fair, Autumn invited him here.
Oh, really? Okay.
That was my boss. Yep. It's true. It was a couple of weeks ago. She's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you're going to be doing a couple of live streams." I'm like, "Oh." So yeah.
Next
All right,
question.
no more free questions, people. We've been kind out of respect for the Canadian. If you got a question, it needs to come with a couple dollars attached, or we'll get to you because this is only an hour-long show.
I'm gonna have to mute myself. Gotcha.
I didn't.
We could do that, Jim. I never thought about that. Next time.
Just mute him. Okay. And we're American. People expect us to be jerks. Christopher Giaquinto says, how can a new tech set up their ham station for home and or portable digital ops via the internet, laptop, desktop, tablet for digital modes? For example, FT8, yada, yada, yada. What exactly is needed to interface? A little too technical to wrap your head around. Christopher, can I take this one to you?
I think you did a whole show or two about this recently.
We have done many shows on this in Coffee and Ham Radios, and I just dropped a video this morning about a way to remote your radio that is actually a whole lot easier than even fooling with VPNs and software and everything else. So,
INET.
cloud-based IP KVM, my friend.
So with the technician, you're allowed to remote in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This
Because in
America.
Canada, until you get your advanced, you're supposed to not remote any radio.
Well,
But
understand you're remoting into your computer, and your computer is the control point. And as long as you, as the ham radio operator, can
Okay.
disengage it, you're good. So,
Gotcha. Semantics.
thank you, Brad.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a U.S. rule.
Now, I'm not a lawyer, and
No.
I never been to law school, but I've seen every episode of Law and Order, so I consider myself somewhat of an expert.
Here's the thing: is that everybody kind of does that. It's like having the new operator, and he's not quite on the right band, and you have the one old guy scolding him, but at the same time, it happens.
Right. Okay, so just testing.
I see what you did there.
I was waiting. It got awful quiet. I'm like, okay.
It did.
Yeah, we've done several shows on this on Coffee and Ham Radios. I've done a couple of videos on it. Christopher, there's a lot of ways to do it. Some are easier, some are more complicated. It depends on what your end results need to be. The short answer is, the first thing you need to be able to do is remotely turn power on and off to the power supply / radio setup. That's step one. Step two, you got to get remote access to one of your computers at home. Excuse me. Patty melt from the deli. It was really good. You have to get remote
Sounds
access
like
to
it.
one
I
of
can
your
almost smell it.
I'm tasting it again.
A second time.
You got to get remote access to one of your computers. There's 27 ways to do that. And then from there, that computer has to be hooked to the radio. So it's a very long answer, and there is no step-by-step guide. It just depends on what your end result needs to be and how much money you're willing to spend and what you want to happen. Do you need file transfer to and from your remote PC?
And you also need to get a buttload of patience, because you're going to screw it up probably the first 15 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Do it from across the room instead of across the country.
And well,
Yeah.
the biggest part is, are you behind CGNAT or not? Because then things get weirder. So
Yes.
if you're on Starlink or
T-Mobile.
some other carriers use CGNAT, and that makes
you
it
can afford
extra
it,
complicated.
if you can afford it at your home connection, is buy a static IP. It's worth every penny.
Yeah. Well, and see, I'm on Spectrum here. I don't have a static IP, but the only time that
I'll
IP
allow it.
address has changed is like when the hurricane knocked the power out for 2 days. I mean,
Thanks, LC. I'll allow it.
It just stays. So I haven't ever worried about that, and I don't think that's an option for Spectrum Home.
So when you get into doing like CW remotely or SSB remotely, it gets a lot more difficult. You've got lag over the internet you have to worry about. And if you're not in the same room with the radio, you don't notice it as much, which is the whole point of remote control. But there are programs for your ICOM series of radios that's called Smart SDR.
SDR
And
control.
SDR control, sorry. Smart SDR is for Flex,
Right.
which would also do remote work for you. And then there's a program called WF View, Waterfall View, that will work with your Zygu 6100, 6200. There's a
And
ton of ways
ICOMs.
to skin the cat, but I mean, enjoy the journey. Have fun with it. And every little frustration, like you paid for that.
Yeah.
So just live it up. Just love it.
Win for ICOM and win for Yaesu. To some
Yep.
extent, FL Rig will also let you manage the radio remotely as well. So there's just a whole bunch of ways to do it.
We have to interrupt and go right to this question. Apparently Don put a question in the form. So I like this new, like, put it in the form and then cut in line. I like this format too. This works.
Yeah.
Let's see, Don.
It's impatience.
Real
Which
question.
doesn't work for remote control.
What is the best way
Thank you,
to
Don.
figure out how to orient your directional antenna? I can see myself on the map, and I feel strongly that I'm looking north, but I just can't get a good visual on it. There's an app for that, Donald. The Great Circle Map orientation and beam pointing is what I want to do, but what is the square one? And yes,
Square
this is a
one.
real question, Jim.
Grid square?
So I might be completely off base here, but like I found that if you get Google Maps and you put it into walking mode, just walk, a couple circles around your backyard, and then it will literally show you a V of which direction you're pointing, and then you can, like, I don't know, carve it in your lawn. But at least that way you've got some things, because that's how I test, things like my Moxon and whatnot. When I get up to the top of a hill, is I figure out what north is, and then literally take my boot and scratch out northeast, south, and west, and I can get rough directions based off of that.
Right. I mean, look at your house on Google Maps, because it'll be oriented on there, and just, okay, this corner of my house is northish, close enough.
So why not use a compass?
That's what I said. There's a compass app on almost every phone on the planet,
but
except the Nokias that your mom still has. But other than that, there's a compass app.
But if you use it near your antenna, it kind of goes weird, and it just doesn't seem to.
Well, you don't have to stand by your antenna when you do it. North doesn't change to 20 feet away. I mean, that's literally what I used to aim my Starlink dish. Was the built-in app, well, the Starlink app, but same thing, and it worked great.
And everybody raise their hands if they have an analog compass.
Damn it, I shouldn't do that. I don't know, that's going to make my camera do something.
Maybe this is the bad crowd to ask that question for.
I have several analog compasses, Yes, James, and no one but pilots and people who work in the airline industry would even think of that most of the time. Yes, that is true.
Yeah, and you're working at minutes would be the maximum degree change, and I don't think you can aim it that close. So
yeah, northish is close enough. And the farther away you are, Don's in Texas, so I mean, just aim it closest to north,
Chris,
and you're good.
I can't answer this question, Chris. All right, next question.
All right. I love Chris's snark. Mel Davis says, getting back into it, and do I really need logging software? Right now, I just log on QRZ.com. Me too, buddy. Yeah. I have a logbook of the world account, but don't use it. Also, should I bite the bullet and get a 7300 or 710 or buy a G90? Current radio is an Alinco DX7R8T. It's extremely basic. So I log on QRZ and I have it sync up, which is kind of a manual process the first time, with the logbook of the world, and I'm done.
Yeah.
So that's the website's everywhere I'm at.
Yeah. And like I've used, like, you've got Mac logging, and there's so many different logs, and then there's like you said, there's QRZ seems to be where I found most people are, but then you got Logbook of the World, then you've got the Ham World, or like there's so many different ones. Choose one that you think works. And I was really kind of freaking out that I wasn't logging some things properly during a contest. And my buddy Vince I was about to go
VE6LK.
Yeah. And he's like, you really don't have to worry too much about that. Like, it self-polices. So,
Thank you, Hayden.
Get in there, and the log is a lot for you. I'm not saying don't do it. And it is part of, at least in Canada, I'm sure it's in the US, you are supposed to. But let's be realistic. We're human. And if you lost that sheet of paper you logged on, or you dog ate it, then whatever.
Logbook.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's in why the US, they removed the requirement to log. The FCC no longer requires you to do it. So if you're interested in chasing paper, you need to log. If you're interested in playing POTA, you need to log. If you are an activator, the activators automatically log you as the hunter, and then that will accumulate your points. For SOTA, you need to log as both a Shack Sloth and a SOTA activator.
I'm going to have to write an AI script that will take the audio of me doing logging, and then just do a POTA and send the audio in and have it do all the log for me. I wonder if that's got to be possible.
It's easier than you think it is, my friend. I took a scribbled scratch piece of paper, and I wanted to make a video about it, but I never got around to it because there's so much stuff to do in ham radio. My friend Javi and I were at Quartzsite, and we went up to Guadalupe Peak, and he's just scribbling away on a piece of paper. I took a picture of it with my phone. I uploaded it to ChatGPT, and I said, convert this to a SOTA log, and it said, here you go. And it was right. God. It knew the peak, it knew the contact, it knew the band, it knew everything. Wow.
Yeah, it probably took like the geoposition of the photo, so it knew everything at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Crazy. Okay.
All right, Sean Gary. How are we on time?
Oh, hang on a second. Jody dropped a super chat and he paid for a question. And I think what we can do is I'm scrolling back. I'm trying to find it. I'm not
Okay,
vamping for
I just
time.
was like,
So
I'm
Jody's
not gonna
super
go
chat
back and
was
look.
paying for it. So Chris will answer one of Chris's questions. How many questions was that? Too many.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you, Jody.
And Bricker, we answered your question. Sean Gary, actually, do we want to do a giveaway here since we're down to about 10 minutes?
Yes.
Are we going to go long or?
It all depends. I don't know. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Jim, you're excused.
All right. I'm doing it. This is for the dingus Ben is giving away.
The dingus?
Everything
Dingus.
is
This is the
dingus.
70 centimeter Faraday.
I didn't want to say
were-
Ben's dingus because
No, but we were out at a baseball game in Ohio, and there's a what is it? There's a day, they call it Dingus Days. Apparently, there's some sort of festival out in Ohio called Dingus Days. I just absolutely love the fact that they have something called that.
Nice.
Oh,
all right, that
DK.
goes to
Australia.
Oz.
Yep.
So Ben, you good with that?
Oh, I'm totally good with that.
Awesome.
Ben, see,
Darren, there is a
Canadian,
form
we would have made you pay
that
extra shipping, Archer.
Frank just not extra. That Frank has just dropped in the chat. It's in the description of the video. Fill it out, and I will get that over to the boss, and she will make sure that Ben gets that thing shipped out to you. Congratulations, Darren. Darren
way to
has
go.
made some awesome stuff, and if you look in the Toads DI room on the Toads Discord, linked at the top over there, then you'll be able to see some of the boards that he made. He made a TYT adapter that goes to the Mini DIN 6-pin, which would then go to the new daughter boards that we have for the Toads DI. And he's got
That
the
was
first.
a lot of acronyms.
It was. He's got the first Mini DIN 6 adapter daughter board in the wild, and he's already got it wired up. Chris, we told you the rules. You knew the assignment.
But he said it's a good format. He likes it. Makes good for good content.
He said
sitting
he's
on the
not
edge of the
sure if
seat.
he likes it.
He'll be all right.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the next question? Because it's fairly wordy.
Go for it.
Okay. Sean Gary asks, Radioddity D840D is not following the manual section 12.1, page 125 extended model manual. Serial number, model number doesn't show when using their programming software. But can I put a UHF, VHF, Jesus, I can't talk. But can I put UHF, VHF repeaters in it? Does that matter if I still push info into the radio? DMR is new to me. I have not gotten to DMR side yet. Just getting local repeaters. Not happy with audio quality. I am emailing tech support as well. They want me to make a video, but life has gotten busy. Need to get time back to play more. Thanks,
does.
Sean.
Sean, I've got the
Don't have an
for you.
answer, but I do have a path. So, or do you want to take that one, Steve?
I'm getting the link real quick. So the radio that he mentioned is the DB40-D, and Radioddity sells 3 radios in that family. One of them is the GD88, which I have sitting over this shoulder. The other one is the DB25, which I have sitting over that shoulder, and the DB40 I'm still waiting to get back from Chuck because I loaned it to him like 2 years ago, and you know how Chuck is.
When do you get the DB Cooper?
Right? Right after I get the Mini Cooper. Easy. So what I did was I made a video on that code plug software, and I'm typing and talking at the same time. And what it is it goes through kind of a metaphor of like using a file cabinet and a contact, like a file of facts kind of deal, where you put people's names into groups, and you put repeaters into groups, and DMR contacts into groups and things, and shows. Oh, got to interrupt. Go ahead.
Is the mesh tie
KB5
for sale?
UTY wants to know if the mesh tie stick is available for sale.
It isn't, and you're not the first person to ask. I'm debating whether to do it, but like I'd be getting dollar store ties, so I don't know if it would be, maybe.
Awesome.
I guess. What's it worth to you?
Yeah. So there is another piece of software out there. It's called CP Editor, and I think it's cpeditor.co.uk. Frank, could you help me out with that one? But there's a couple of questions that you asked in that long wordy question, and I appreciate that. I'm not making fun of you. I promise. I'm really not. The second thing that you wanted to know was about you sound like you're drunk on DMR. Most of the time, the radios come with the mic gain turned up way too high from the factory. There is a DMR talk group called Parrot. Key up Parrot. Talk for, don't just say hi, call sign. Give it a paragraph. Read a paragraph out of a book, and then it'll come back to you, and you'll hear how you sound through the miasma of DMR mess, and then change your mic gain setting down to or up to or whatever. And the more you go up, the more drunk you sound on the radios that I've used. So go down. A lot of people say DMR sounds bad. Usually it's user configuration. It's a what is it? A layer 8 issue.
90% of the time, I feel that it's chair to keyboard short or a cockpit error or 1D10T, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Just out of ignorance of all the settings, and especially for a new ham, what the mic gain actually does. And like Steve said, it's set up awful high. And then if you are a close talker, which you're bad anyway if you do that, you're eating the mic, the gain is up on it, it makes it sound really bad. And the other part of it is you do kind of get what you pay for. I mean, if you buy a $60 DMR special, it's going to sound like one. If you buy a BTEC 6X2, it's a whole lot better. And if you fold in paper like the Smokin' Ape does, you buy yourself a Moto Turbo, and then you sound like a king.
So here's one thing I want to add to all of this, though, is that go to Notebook LM, put in every manual you can find for the radio, literally give it the URL to this video, and just add as much content as you can, like links to a website that you think you can trust on that. Then ask Notebook LM as an AI what it would do under those circumstances, and you're going to find that it limits it down to the sources that you've given it, and you're going to find some of the answers really, really fast. Like I've done that for all my Yaesu radios, and like
that's a really good idea. I like that, Ben.
I did a short on it, and it was like the 5D or the 4D, the Yaesu handheld. It has like 15 manuals, and one will reference the other, but then page 16 references 2, which references 3, and it becomes this nightmare. I put them all in there. I ask it a straight question, and boop, 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 I'm done. It was game changing as far as that goes. Take all the manuals you can find on that radio, dump it in Notebook LM, and then ask it the question.
He had a continuation of that. He said he hates Windows, primarily Mac. Second is Unix OS. I only have one Windows 11 PC. Can any of this work in a VM environment? Yes, it will. I have programmed HTs number of times from a Mac using Windows 11 VM or Windows 10. Any tricks on mapping, bridging serial interfaces in a VM environment? Just follow the software. It pretty much leads you through it.
Yeah.
Just depends on which one you're going to use. I've used Parallels extensively, VirtualBox a little bit less, a lot less, but it'll work in all of them.
Yeah.
All right, new question.
All right.
You bet.
Chris Radio and Life. Working on putting up an OCF dipole at my QTH. Question is, should I do an inverted V or just straight? Oh, it is for 80 meters.
How high off the ground can you get it?
And how directional do you want it?
I mean, 80 meters, he needs to have that thing up.
Yeah, but you remember that if you have that bottom leg and you tilt it off to the side, then you might lose some of that takeoff angle, but you've got all the directionality in the world. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve too, right?
Yeah, true.
What about an inverted L?
Yeah.
So straight up the mast. You said you had a 30-some foot mast, straight up the mast, and then out to a tree.
Yeah.
Nice, Chris.
You must have asked about an 891.
But
Yeah,
you said ChatGPT. I'm telling you, Notebook LM is where it's at.
I've never tried that one. I pay for ChatGPT and I'm paying for Goog. And so far, neither one of them have disappointed me. I need to just make a decision and cut the cord on one of them. But
Cut off Google.
I think that's
Yeah.
probably what's going to happen. ChatGPT makes better thumbnails and YouTube description copy,
Yeah.
which I really like. Almost all my Sunday morning shows have been AI thumbnails and AI descriptions, and I just feed it some of my normal saucy sense of humor, and it goes from there.
So hold on a second. Frank said that he put in a super chat to pay for some of the smaller questions that people like Chris can't follow the form properly or do either of the two options available to them. Chris just doesn't seem to get it. So I will answer this one. Maybe an upside down W. Chris, that's a great idea.
So wouldn't that just be an M?
Right. An inverted V is just a half an N.
Yeah.
It's fun picking on Chris.
Yeah.
It's like
Callum,
reverse nemesis.
Callum did a video just recently. I haven't watched it, but I know that he was talking about doing 80, and he took one of his 40s and then literally strung a wire off the top of one of his masts, I think. At least that's what I kind of got from the thumbnail. It could be completely wrong.
Yeah, up and over.
Yes, Jody, that is the future you live in a world gone mad.
In a world.
I don't get it.
Jim Perry
One
has
ham.
taken over AI.
One ham, one desire.
All right. N0KM Dave, anyone hear of or remember Tubesters? They were a solid state FET replacements, he thinks, for Collins or Drake radios. They were really pricey, but maybe the designs could be replicated now with better devices. 80s magazines. I
don't remember it, but I'm interested.
And I'm like 2.5 years young in the hobby, so no.
Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing on that. I'm going to leave that unmarked off because we may come back to that sometime. Sean
I'd love to know
Technishon
more about it.
says, how can I test dummy loads to see if they are indeed 50 ohm and what power rating? Nano VNA
Yeah.
or a rig expert is the easiest way. If you're like me and Don and you're elite ham, you're going to use your rig expert. If you're like Ape, you're going to use a Nano VNA. If you're like Chuck, he's going to use a rig expert because he can't see a Nano VNA. So
Right.
TO is straddling the fence, whatever he's got at hand, probably. I think you got a Nano, don't you?
I do. So I'm going to agree with Chris on this one too. Always thank the AI. The AI never forgets, and they will take over. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm curious at like how much power, please and thank you, is eating up our power grid.
Yes, there is there's an article. I want to say it's on Hackaday about being polite to the AI, and they say it does eat up a lot of power, but you should still do it. So they all agree. On the Nano VNA, I think it's the log mag, and you plug it in to the
It's log mag.
first set your sweep parameters for the frequency that you're interested in. Then do your open short load calibration. Then plug in your dummy load. Run a log mag sweep on it, and it will tell you. It should be a flat line. And if it goes like that, then there's something wrong with your dummy load at that frequency. Because dummy loads actually do have frequencies.
Yes. Well, he continues on. I bought an eBay special dummy load for HT, some rated for 5 watts, some for 2 watts, DC to 6 gigahertz. I want to make sure they will not damage my radio if used. A UVK6 with iambic key attached and CEC firmware. I own a Nano VNA and Ultra Tiny SA to test with. So Nano VNA, you've already got it. Use that.
Yep.
Pay attention to the power rating on them is the biggest thing. You know, if you've got a 2 watt dummy load, then don't run your HF radio into it at full juice. That would be bad.
Right.
I mean, it will last for a while until it doesn't. So
Jim and I are using cell wave dummy loads. We get those used off of eBay, and they're pulls from cell phone tower sites, and they're really high quality, durable things.
200 watts with a ginormous heat sink.
Yeah.
And in an emergency, it could be used as a self-defense device.
At what point do you stop though? Like I see a lot of people going, I've got all this equipment and I'm not going to assemble it because I'm afraid something's going to happen. And I'm just as guilty of this. There's got to be like establish in your own head I'm willing to take a risk and let the smoke out of it, but I need to move ahead, right? Don't just sit and be static for 3 weeks going, well, I'm not sure I should hook this up. There's got to be a point where you just hook into something and try it. And if you lose a piece of gear, yeah, it sucks. But 9 times out of 10, it's usually a quick fix.
Sean got another question in too, since
I'll
it's
get you a link, Lino.
back to back. Sean, how do you test a buck converter to see if it will cause RFI? I have a ton of Milwaukee 18-volt batteries. I'd love to put them to use besides power tools instead of investing in additional batteries. One of your streams, I remember you mentioning that buck converters were very noisy. I have a Nano and a Tiny SA. Use the Tiny SA.
Tiny SA, yeah.
Yep.
Or an
Use
AM
the-
radio or whatever.
Yeah, use the whip antenna on your Tiny SA, and you can see the screen, the display, where the noise might be at. It may make noise. It may not make noise on the frequency that you care about.
Yeah,
Right.
but here's the thing, though, is
The AM radio would also work as well too, except it doesn't show you a cute display. So
I'm making a mic, and I wanted to do taking the power off of my Yaesu 991A and being able to upconvert it to 24 volt for an actual diaphragm mic. And you can get buck converters, but like you get these ones, and these are like $30 a piece, but they're quiet. Is that? Yeah, unfortunately, I've got it zoomed out. Anyway, I'll have to come up with a link. But these, basically, I've got like the mic elements, and then the circuit board and everything I need. But those will allow you to do the power. But buck converters, if you're buying it for like $3, I almost would say don't even bother testing it because it's going to be noisy. Period.
So when you are testing the noise level on your, Jim made an interesting point on this, but I want to point it out. Perhaps if somebody more intelligent could say it. Tune it to the frequency that you're interested in listening on. Tune it to the frequency you're interested in listening on.
Mm-hmm.
The Tiny SA, and then light up your buck converter and see if there's noise. I mean, they're fairly cheap, so buy them. See if you're a cheap ham like I am, then return them to Amazon because I want somebody else to have these noisy things and not me. But if you have noise on 60 meters, 5 megahertz, and you never transmit or listen on 5 megahertz, perfect. This is the buck converter you need.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
thought of it that way. No, suddenly I'm feeling dumb. But that's a fair point.
That's why I was saying if the frequency where the noise is at isn't an issue, then move on. If it's up in VHF and you're not a 2-meter guy, okay, don't care. Yeah. And I would suspect a lot of that stuff is going to be, well, I guess it just depends.
And the thing is that all of us have gotten, it's sort of like me buying the 991A. I wanted everything in one box versus, you get the antennas and they want it to be a tri-bander versus, dedicated to any one frequency. You make a good point, Jim, is maybe you just need 3 different buck converters with 3 different frequencies.
They're cheap. I mean, you can probably get a 6-pack for under $20, I would guess.
Yeah.
Buck and boost. I mean, it just depends on what you're trying to do. But yeah, I've got a little plastic bag of buck converters I got from Amazon that I've used for one thing, and they're in a box with parts. But
yeah,
and the solution to all of life's problems, this is a universal truth. Time, distance, and shielding solves almost everything. Time, distance, and shielding, or shielding, either one.
And by distance, he literally means like move feet away from it.
Yes.
Like a good 5 to 10 feet, and the noise changes 100%.
And it's kind of, is that the inverse square law?
Sure.
The distance, it's the square of the distance, and the noise goes down the inverse of the square of the distance, or something like that. It's actually a question on the test, I think, too, on the ham test. And I should remember that. But yeah, time, distance, and shielding, baby. That'll solve almost every human problem, really.
Which is why POTA is awesome, because you have all 3 of those things.
Right. If she's crazy, time, distance, and shielding.
I was about to go. Does that apply to wives and girlfriends?
Yes. Yes.
No matter how
does.
hot she is, somebody somewhere
Yes.
tired of putting up with her.
Time, distance, and shielding. Okay. Let's see. What have we got left? Marvin, one of our favorite guys, says Meshtastic channels. How to select channels to modify or use. He's new to Meshtastic.
Yep. So what you would do is long fast is a channel that comes by default and it's got an encryption code already put into it, and the encryption code is well known. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure 9 people in the chat will type it in. Yeah, and Ben knows it. And so what you do is you just go into that channel, or you make your own channel, and then the software will put a QR code on the screen. Screenshot that, give it to somebody, and now they're in your channel. Or if you'd like to be part of my channel, then ask me for the QR code for my channel, and I will give you a screenshot of it, and you can then scan it in and become a part of my channel. So it's all about passing the Meshtastic channel back and forth.
Yeah.
LC has validated me. Yay! I was pulling that out of the dark recesses of my mind. You remember the closing scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah.
There's a little old guy in there with a cart and roller skates going to the back shelf, way back at the back of the warehouse to find that. Okay. Arnold Grubbs says, this is more of a rant than a question, Arnold, but why do people keep using a G5RV antenna when minor adjustments you configure it for
ZS6BKW?
That one with better SWR and more bands? Because they don't know, Arnold, and they got to learn. My first antenna was a G5RV. I actually never opened it because I'd moved on before I even got to that part. But
yeah, they work fine as a G5RV if you're doing them for what Mr. Louis Varney, I think that's actually his name, and he's not the Hey Vern dude,
right,
intended it for. It's a really cool antenna, and it's been stretched beyond all imagination to do things that it wasn't designed to do, and it still does fairly well at those things it wasn't designed to do. The ZS6 BKW definitely fixes it. It's a super easy fix to apply to an existing G5RV if you bought one off the shelf, but use the antenna you got. Get a wire in the tree and push that PTT.
Brandon asks, this is a long one. Our club has done a handful of Club POTA activations. The attendance is great and has helped get people interested in the hobby. There seems to be some confusion about how we use our club's call and whether or not two operators can make a contact on the same band using the same mode without being a dupe.
Is this a POTA question?
It's a Club POTA activation.
Yeah, so you can't do it on the same... You can't be the club call and then make it... So, like, I'm K-Toads, KT0ADS, which is our club call. You all are welcome to use it as long as you're on the Discord. Minor rules. Hopefully Chris can follow this one. And Jim is using K-Toads also. Now, if we both contact Ben on the same band using the same source call sign, obviously it's a dupe, so you can't do that. All you have to do is have Jim move to a different band. Yep. And technically, probably just a different frequency is also fine. But it's even better if you can do a multi-park activation at the same time from different regions. Then I can be KT0ADS stroke 9, and Jim can be KT0ADS stroke 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be cool. We're going to attempt that sometime in the future when I have more headspace to plan such things.
Yep. And I think the mode, too. So I could do K-Toads on FT8, 20 meters. Well, it's a different frequency. While you're doing K-Toad sideband on 20 meters, for example.
Yeah, you could do that, yeah. And Craig, W5CBW, says he added a question to the form that is a follow-up to this question, or goes along with this question. So see if you can find that. We can knock them both out.
So with the upcoming AK trip, I've been wondering about the antenna to take. Was thinking of the Poseidon, POTA, some beach, some forest. That seems like a question we've already answered.
Maybe he's on delay. But yeah, the Poseidon's a great antenna for POTA.
Oh, here it is. It's okay, never mind. Can you explain the rationale behind a GOTA station allowing non-licensed individual to operate using a club call on any frequency and not allowing a licensed tech to use the same club call on any frequency outside of their license privilege? I often get questioned during club activities by techs wanting to use the club call extra to extend their opportunities to operate.
Yeah, so the strongest station holder, the strongest call sign holder, the strongest license holder is what I was trying to say.
You'll get there.
Is the controlling operator of the station and must be physically eyes on present while you are at the microphone. So if you're at a club event, and this is where it gets a little gray, and I'm an extra, so I'm there, I'm physically present, but I'm not watching the GOTA station. There's a general operator with you. Can I still operate in the extra portion of the band? I don't know, because the club and an extra are both present at this event. But the point is you want to get somebody there with a coach. You want to get them over mic fright. You want to get them interested in HF. You want to do all of these you want to get them on the air. Get them on the air. Get on the air. That's what the GOTA stands for. And so, yeah, just have somebody sit with them, show them how it's done, then hand them the mic or ask them to log for a bit so they get familiar with, what they're listening for and get activated, get to be a part of it, and then swap stations. Do as much of the work for them as you possibly can do for them to take. It's a big burden when you're first picking up the mic. It seems like it's easy for us because we do it all the time, but there's a world of anxiety and stress on their shoulders, and the more you can do, the better. Like, write down what the exchange should be on a piece of paper at your GOTA station. Make it super, super easy for them, and they'll walk away happy instead of walking away frustrated and anxious.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised at what people will forget. I had my kid. My kid was in the car. We're driving along, and he knows my call sign and stuff. So I'm like, okay, so this is what you do. And he remembered my call sign, but forgot his name. So, it's one of those where you'd be surprised at what people forget. When you say a script, Write it all out, literally line for line, word for word.
Yep.
Bricker asks, hey, T.O., how did the Faraday work with your smallest man pack?
It worked fantastically.
How did it work?
It did. It worked great. It was so I have it in a couple of different versions of it. I have it in a couple of different Go kits. In the smallest man pack was the Yaesu FT90, and it's like, that big. It works great. I mean, what's your power rating on that?
We've tested like legal limits. We've tested legal limits on 70 and 2 meters, which is like 50 around here, and it had no problems with that. The 6 meter I've taken to 100, and again, no problems. So I'm pretty sure that all my antennas can go to 100, but what I've actually tested for would be anything below 6 meters has been 50, and anything 6 meters and above is 100. And I'm pretty sure I get a couple 100 watts out of it. But if I'd be willing to get somebody who wants to play with 6 meters, I'll give you a 6 meter, not give you. We'll have to figure out a deal, but like, you tell me at what point it melts, and then I'll replace it when it melts.
I got one. I got an amp. I could do that.
Oh, that would be Jim too. Yeah. So our friend Shane, I'll allow this one.
Hit me. Good, because I was going to push him to the top of the list anyway.
If you have your license in a PDF on your phone in your pocket, is this as good as having your paper license on your person? Does it matter as long as you have your license? I frequently do not take my license with me when I go anywhere. I try to remember to bring it with me for air travel, just in case my luggage gets checked, which it has. And the reason why I'm going to brag a little bit here. The reason why my luggage got checked as a ham operator with a whole bunch of wires and batteries and stuff was because I packed it so dense that the x-ray machine couldn't see it. My Go kit was that tight. Nice. But I have gone with not so tight Go bags, and they're like, have at it, man. Have a blast. Yeah. Make sure your battery's the right size, and they know what ham radios are. I can't say that out loud. Never mind. But yeah, paper's fine. Paper's good. Having it on your person is fine, because the FCC doesn't send you an actual official real thing in the mail anymore. Right. They send you a PDF that says official copy on it. Like, I couldn't fake that very easily in Microsoft Word or something.
Really? How?
Yeah, it's super cheesy.
It's lame.
Is it like Photoshop?
Dude, it could be Photoshopped. And you know what? Our pilot's licenses in the United States are not much better. It's not a picture ID card. It's a green card with words on it. And I'm like, I could get this printed online pretty easy.
This is not the Go kit in question, but I think this is the Go kit that has my license in it.
I don't think the federal government can afford real licenses, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So this is my official ham radio license. And see how it says official copy on it? That's what makes it official. The fact that I printed it on my own printer and it says official copy.
But you didn't cut around the cut lines. See, so does that null and void it?
Well, if I did cut around the cut lines, it wouldn't say official copy anymore.
Fake news.
Oh, okay. I see.
T.O. going to jail.
Yeah.
Which part? Oh, yeah. So
we actually get sent cards up in Canada, but like how long that's going to last, I don't know. And it's just another piece of paper. The reality is you can copy it. So
next,
I'm catching up with the chat. Hold your water.
just go ahead. There's
Okay.
none left in the form?
No, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Philly Ed, asks, what's the best way to solder the antenna to the board of his T-beam? I feel we've answered that already, but it's not marked. I'm marking it now.
I think we did. I got to talk to that guy who does the marking with the soldering iron.
You're going to talk to me with a soldering iron? Oh,
No. You said I was answering the
Normally I have
question.
to pay
Keep
extra
up.
for that.
Keep up. Yeah. What's the best way to solder the SMA connector to the T-beam with a soldering iron? I mean, I don't know. Use good solder. Put some flux in there. You're going to be soldering the 4 pins of the ground connector to the ground plane, which is going to be underneath the entire board. So it's going to require a lot of extra heat.
yeah, I was going to say, don't just the cheap soldering irons wouldn't work. You need something that's got like a few amps to it to be able to dump the heat you need into it. Otherwise, you can use the smaller ones, but you sit there and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait, and then the rest of the electronics get flooded with heat and fry while you're trying to get that in. Ask me how I know this.
W9techradio@gmail.com, W9TEK. So, question for Ben. You're just getting into HF. What HF rig you rocking?
The 991A and the Zygo G90 are the two. Like G90 is my level travel, and yeah.
I loved my 991A.
Yeah,
I think it's a great radio.
I just got it because it, like, at the very beginning, I wanted something that had everything. I didn't have to worry about HF, UHF, and like I just wanted it all in one spot. And yeah, it's basically I don't know. Is it really a trade-off? Like I there's some people that sit there and go, "Wow, it's better if you have the systems different." But like when I switch from UHF to VHF, there's a chunk, so I'm assuming it's using a different board or something. So I don't think.
Yeah, there's a relay in there that switches it over. If you open it up, there should be 2 completely separate radio transmitters in there.
Yeah.
IP a lot.
Hang on. I don't know if you know this or not, Jim, but W9TEK, we have to stop and commend him. That would be our buddy Chris Bricker. He actually asked the question properly in the form.
I know. I was kind of trying to process
it.
that still.
I think we did cover it earlier, but that was me being polite.
We did.
And reading the screen,
That was you being polite, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. IP a lot. ZL2RMG asks, I'm not touching this one. What is a better radio, the FTX1 or the IC705? I'm after honest opinions. There's a better battery in the Yaesu than in the ICOM. They both have
problems, yeah.
They both have upsides. They both have downsides. The upside to the Yaesu is that Fusion is a hell of a lot easier than D-Star. The downside to the ICOM is that the battery in it is crap, and it's way too small, in my opinion, for that radio. I don't have either radio. I wouldn't buy either radio because I don't have a need for either radio. There's more upsides and more downsides on both of them. It's just whichever one you want to spend the money on at the moment. Look for a deal, you know?
The one that puts a smile on your face.
Yep, that's my honest opinion. I don't own either one, and I will never buy either one because I just don't care about either one of them.
I think I've come to the conclusion that if you want to be an Elmer in ham radio, all you really have to do is when anybody asks you a question, go, "It depends."
Well,
and say
it kind of does. It kind of does. It depends on who you ask. I mean, if you ask...
Oh, it totally does. I'm making it half cheekily and half not, because the reality is every question it's so gray that you...
Yeah. Well, and somebody mentioned this, and I don't want to say his name too many times because he'll show up. Ape has both. So does Chuck from Coffee and Ham Radios. Hello, focus. That's the whole reason I got you. Focus, you stupid camera. What the hell? Deal with it, people. I'm too tired.
Sorry.
So they each have both, you know? It just depends on what you want.
Yeah.
And somebody said the 705. James is saying the 705's on sale. That's the one I'd buy today. It's 705.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does the Yaesu have the built-in server? What is it? SDR control? Because the 705 does.
I don't know. Well, that's the 705 has a network connection built in.
It does Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
But it has
So
the Wi-Fi
SDR
server that the 9700 has.
yeah, it's not Wi-Fi server; it's a network server. But yeah,
Right. I was answering the other question.
yeah, I don't. So yes, I know that SDR control will drive a 705. I don't know that. I believe that is correct.
Ooh, somebody's getting spicy.
I mean, he must be.
How does
in
this
the
guy have
Fosters
two
or
radios
something.
and not a call sign?
He must be in deep into the Fosters, because that's Australian for beer. Yeah. So, you know,
This thing with this just came up for me today, and oh yeah,
Eliza?
it was a C64 AI chat program, AI
Oh yeah.
chatbot.
Actually, it was older than C64. I ran that on a PDP-11 in college.
Yeah. Well, no, like
Eliza.
today you can get this
Oh yeah.
this chat cartridge that works on all the retro computers, and it connects through a ESP32 Wi-Fi modem
Oh, to a
impersonator
LLM.
to a real LLM named Eliza. I'm like, this
Oh.
came up today. Why do I get this
But
reference?
it's explain like I'm, and then what's the ZA?
Well, ELI 5, explain like I'm 5. I don't know what the ZA is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what it's like, but I don't know.
Hold on, let me ask the AI.
What are we
And then
asking?
you guys can.
We're asking the AI about another AI. It's gonna go. Oh, that AI is just crap.
Oh, that whore.
That shill
I knew that, Hayden. That's why I said that.
deep in the fuzzies. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Celinodev, Cleanodev. I'm still probably saying your name wrong. Yes. I played with Eliza on a PDP 1170 and way back in the day.
ChatGPT does not want to talk about this.
No.
Eliza
be
was
his-
the name given to one of the earliest natural language processing programs created in the mid-60s
It's
by
old.
Joseph Weizenbaum at MIT. It was named after Eliza Doolittle, it's not an acronym, the character from Pygmalion
Yes.
and the musical My Fair Lady, to reflect the idea of language transformation and mimicry.
I'd buy
you
into me subscribing to that because I was doing a video edit and trying to make sense of the words that come out of my face can be really difficult sometimes. You're like, what were you thinking when you said that sentence? This makes no sense.
All right. We have a legitimate question. AC8XU, John. What is the USB cable tester called? Treedix, Treedix.
Let me get a link for you. There's two now. They have the cheap
My
one,
link
which
or
works
your
great.
link? Well, I guess it's your show.
What's the tester for?
It tests to see if your cable is a data cable or it is a
the
power
newest
only
one.
cable.
Yeah, the newest one will tell you.
Nice.
The old one kind of would, but the newest one has a LCD screen, and it'll tell you USB 2.0, USB 3.0, USB-C Gen 2, Gen 1, Gen 3.2. This cable supports PD. This cable supports data, yada, yada, yada.
Wow.
Because
I'd just rather
USB-C
take-
is not actually much of a standard. There's like 27 different variations of
That's
USB-C.
crazy. I just like USB-C or USB-A and trying to put it in. It takes you 3 times to do the only
Every
one way in.
single time.
And then you find out it's wrong, and then you try the next one, and you have that box that you just keep throwing them back into, so you can try it again in about an hour.
Yes. Yeah, and that thing is great for that. That's more of an issue with older cables I've seen, like with micro USBs, because you get half of them that were just power only and didn't do data, and then you have a dingus that needs a micro USB data cable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I throw it back in the box, and then I end up with this thing doesn't work because it's the same damn cable you threw back in the box last week.
You know, it might be worth it. Maybe it'd feel satisfactory to like have a pair of like cheap wire cutters. As soon as you come across one that doesn't work, just snap it.
That is what
Right.
you should do. Yes, cut
Yeah.
it and throw it in the trash. Absolutely.
But I can't.
All right.
I'm a ham. Is it going to wake
Let
up?
me mark that question off. All right. Let's see. If you're lacking questions, I wish this had dates on this, Tio, because I see some of these that apparently I didn't mark, but I think we've answered them.
Going to have to send you a strongly written letter. This will go down on your permanent record.
On my permanent record. Am I on double secret probation?
No, you're out of probation. Now you can just get fired for cause.
Other Andy. Oh, that's an old question. I'm not answering that, other Andy. You go away. Now those, yeah, okay. Never mind. All right. I think that's it. We've covered them.
Awesome.
We've covered everything.
Now we need
in here.
fresh questions.
So will we take freebies?
Shane had a super chat question I think we missed. Let me see if I can find it.
We did.
Oh, he did. Have you made an HF Faraday yet?
Yes.
It's okay. He didn't see that we missed it. Oh.
Well, it depends if you consider a 6 meter that. But one of the things I've done is with the carbon fiber poles, the random stick that I have, I've made a whole bunch of them, and you can take one long stick and then just do a little bridging wire, and then another stick coming up as the matching element, and you can pretty much make anything a J pole if you have the right quarter wavelength squid pole. So yes, have I done any video or anything on that? No, because I have no excuse. I'm busy, and everybody can say that. So, yeah.
What happened to FT8 poker? We've been busy. Speaking of busy. So normally we do it on holidays, and we missed the July 4th holiday. We were too busy drinking beer and yelling, Merca!
Merca! Lighting things
Now
on
I got
fire.
another thing I have to look up because I didn't know this existed.
Blowing shit up.
It's frequencyfrenzy.live, Ben.
Okay.
Nasser,
I'm going to forget that.
Nasser is asking, what is the difference between Aurora M510 and M520?
10.
Yeah.
I don't know
Ben
what
went to
an
Canadian
Aurora,
public school, so he can math faster.
I don't know what an M510 and M520 is. And that
I'm guessing
Aurora.
he's talking about that new Flex.
Oh, yeah, it is. Those are the model numbers. I don't know. You'd have to look on the Flex website. Anything with an M at the end has the built-in screen in the box. I think the bigger number, don't quote me on this, but I believe this is the case. The M510 has one spectral capture unit, which is 2 slices, and the 520 has 2 spectral capture units, which is 4 slices.
Spectral capture units.
I also want
Radio dingus.
It
Let's go
sounds
with
so impressive.
It does. I'm quoting Mike Walker. He's smarter than me, and he's Canadian too.
whoever came up with Flex for the name, I really want to hats off, because anybody who has one, they're really flexing,
Right.
it's like, I'm like, oh,
Like
dude,
my
that's
Flex out in
amazing.
the shop that's in my metal building shed because it's so cool. It needs its own house.
I got an answer for our buddy Dave here. Thank you, Dave.
Dave, gonna see you next month, big boy.
Oh yeah.
Dave will be
And by
there.
big boy, Dave's like 6'12".
Dave is tall. He's probably taller than T.O. He's a
Yeah,
wolf.
he is. He's
tall,
taller than
really?
me. Yeah. So y'all's thoughts on
13?
automatic gain control setting on FT8? Turn it off.
Yeah,
Turn it off entirely.
you do
don't
not want that.
anything to mess with your FT8 signals, because the processing power of the mode in question is that awesome. What AGC does is, imagine I'm shouting at you right now and something automatically comes in and quiets me down and removes all the excitement from me. That's AGC. It stops me from shouting at you. The opposite of that is ALC, automatic level control, which stops you from shouting at the radio, stops you from shouting at me. AGC clips the signal down, turns the volume down, makes it harder for FT8 to decode. ALC literally flat tops the signal, cuts the top of it off, and sends out whatever information is left after it gets clipped. So you don't want any of those settings on. He's 6'5", he's taller than me. I'm 6'4", I'm 5'14". So there's a lot of radios don't actually have a setting for ALC, automatic level control. You control that by turning the volume down on your computer. And what you'll see is, if you've got a waterfall, that it'll stop splattering. It should be a nice narrow signal, and if you get it done just right, you'll see the little doodle-oodle-oodles going back and forth in the waterfall as your signal goes out. And if you don't, you just see a red blob go out. You don't want a red blob. That's bad.
And we have a question from VK Land, another question. Why is the only date you say around the right way 4th of July, day before month? Because we're ignorant savages who got kicked out of every decent country in the world. Colin, that is why.
Yeah.
Not touching it.
We did. We did. I mean, we have Britain right on top of us, or Canada, Britain, or Britain, Canada. What are you guys part of the Commonwealth? I'm confused about Canada.
Yeah, we're part of the Commonwealth. Like it's by figurehead alone. They have no power over us, like zero, but like we still honor our roots effectively. So yeah, I don't know. It's still Commonwealth, so yeah.
The people who lived in America, it lived in the colonies at the time of the Revolutionary War that didn't want to participate went to Canada.
Right. They were like the original draft dodgers.
I mean,
and they hated tea apparently.
I want my Timbits.
Yes.
I'm going north.
So this is something that I want to address real quick.
I
National
own that,
Treason
Chris.
Day.
I
Yeah.
own that, Chris. Absolutely.
So on your DX Commander mast, it literally says, this is kind of a sad moment here, but I think we do need to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
It actually says, be careful of overhead power lines. Recently, there was a ham N4 NTO who put up a portable mast and struck a overhead power line, and the results were not good. So SK is silent key, and in the CW world, that means I'm done talking, and so it's kind of an honorary thing that we do for hams when they pass. We say silent key. Like for firefighters, we say end of watch. So
Yeah.
just be careful where you're putting your poles in the air. Look overhead before you erect your mast.
And FYI, if you didn't know this, little fun fact, most power lines are not actually insulated. They're bare wire. So if you touch the wires and you have a pole in your hand, it's going to be an exciting day. Those are not insulated wires on that pole. On those lines.
If you see somebody doing it, like stop them, but don't be that guy that's going, oh, you wouldn't believe how stupid he was and he did. Don't be that guy. Like we all do stupid stuff, and especially when it comes down to like bug him about like the kind of beer he drinks, but don't bug him about stuff like that, because that's how you get people out of the hobby.
Yeah.
I've seen some people get scolded because they did something wrong on the radio, and I'm like, we've all done that. Like, why are you being such a jerk?
Well, the difference is on that one, that is, you're going to die and it will hurt the entire time you're dying.
No, what I'm saying though is like, sure, scream at them in the moment. Don't ever bring it up as a safety meeting or something like that, but don't mention names. Don't shame the guy. Just, bring it up. Don't make it a thing.
You're so nice.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably, if I saw somebody doing that, I probably would not scream at them either. I would talk to them like I saw a giant black widow on their shoulder, or they were about to step on a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, so I don't want to alarm you, but you need to carefully walk toward me and do not turn around and go, huh, at any time.
Yeah.
And Jody, exactly. That's how I deal with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's IDLH, so it needs to be dealt with immediately. That's what we said in the fire department. That's faster than immediately. RFN.
At this time.
But and you're right about not scaring them. It's sort of like I used to do a lot of rock climbing, and I remember starting out with some people, and they'd say heads up. Well, that's dumb. You scream rock if something's falling down, because heads up makes the person look up so that they can catch the rock
So they can see it.
versus just get out of the way.
Right in the kisser.
Yeah.
And Don wants to mention that Roger Smallwood from R&L Electronics has also passed.
Yeah, I believe he had cancer.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
But this is, these things are tragic, but I want to acknowledge them and then get back to the fun stuff. Roger would want us to get back to having fun in radio. What happened when some knuckle? Yeah, he's right. Just change frequency. What are you going to do?
Change.
I mean, if you can decode his call sign and you'd like to reach out and Elmer him a little bit, go for it. But maybe he might listen to it. Maybe
I
he
actually
might
need
not.
a soda more than I need a Newport at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's see. He passed away, you on lot answer. I don't know what that means.
How can you call a specific zone in FT8? So on message number 6, TX6, the last macro, it says CQ, your call sign, and your grid square. In between CQ and your call sign, you can put, CK6, and hopefully somebody will get it. You can put CQDX, and most people understand that. You can say CQWI, I'm calling Wisconsin, or you can say CQ POTA and get a lot of contacts.
Here's a question. I was on FT8 a while back, and I haven't figured out how to do this, but I saw somebody come through, and instead of the 7-3, it was a thank you band. So somebody looked me up, added my name, but I've tried adding a name into that line, and it always just goes back to default. I'd like to be cool like that guy, but maybe I shouldn't be cool, or how do you do it?
So the FT8 protocol itself only has a couple of things that go into each of those macro sessions, I believe. Like you couldn't call CQ in message 1, for example, because the protocol is not designed to allow it. I think, don't quote me on that. But it's also, that message can only be a certain number of characters. It needs to follow kind of a rudimentary format because it's designed to be really repetitive. So when you call CQ in message 6, it's really like just calling the ever-loving crap out of your call sign over and over and over again. And there's some checksum logic and there's some other stuff. And Ashar Farhan, the guy that does the BitX series of radio computers, Raspberry Pi radios, he did a presentation at 4 Days in May, and I bet that presentation is online on the QRPACI website. Or on his website, and he goes through and breaks down the protocol. But the protocol itself is completely open, and you can do a lot of things with it. So you can get all of the details you want on how it works and what it does. In addition to that, there's another program called JS8 Call, where it's keyboard-to-keyboard chat using the FT8 protocol. And then there's another one called Sodamate, but it's an A with a thing over it. And that one, you can send your Soda spot, and it uses the FT8 protocol on a non-standard frequency, and somebody's listening to that and decodes it and then spots you because you sent the specific message format using the FT8 style of
Let's make everybody sick with camera
so somebody,
rolls.
VK had said that I can't do that. See, now I just look dumb.
Sweet child.
One of the VKs
doing my
said
axle dance.
That it's line 5 that you can do it, and I believe somebody else had said 13 character limit. Now I knew the 13 character limit, but maybe I was just using the wrong line.
Could be.
Yeah.
I think it is line dependent because it's just what the other side is expecting to receive, which is kind of the magic of FT8.
Oh, Scott's saying the 2.7 version has a message feature. Very rudimentary, like check clock, which is what gets a lot of people.
That's an online message though, not I wanted to do it over the radio. That's why I thought it was like a really personal kind of, it was a cool thing because suddenly it was like I was like, what? There's my name. Where did that come from? And I was like, that's pretty cool. And I just would like to maybe pay it forward someday, or teach somebody the wrong way to do something and piss off an Elmer.
Okay, we are officially out of the question list. Nasser said he's using 2.8 Improved Plus. I need to check on that because I'm using Improved. Holy crap, I'm done with you people. Wow, we're over time.
We're having fun.
We are, but I still need a Coke and a smoke, and I got to make water pretty soon.
You shrink down the Coke intake, it stops the make water
Let's not go crazy. Let's just calm down. Calm down.
You just got to get the iced coffee from Timmy's. See, Tim Hortons right there.
I have never had iced coffee in the history of never.
Ooh,
I'm going to try it someday before I die, but it'll probably be the day right before I die.
Are you the kind of person that drinks black or sugared or what?
Light and sweet.
Okay, so light and sweet is fine. Coffee. You'll be fine with iced coffee, but as soon as you go black coffee and iced, I don't know. It's like
advanced,
depending on my mood, but like the black iced coffee, no.
So Jim, just for the record, it's not just iced coffee that's cold. It's very specific. Like coffee at hot temperature is good, and then it slowly starts to taper off into
it loses the magic. Yes,
and then bam, iced coffee off the charts again. Like coffee with actual ice cubes.
I was looking at.
Oh, so it's a harmonic. It's a coffee harmonic.
I think it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
There's
like
a place
room temperature coffee. Not good.
There's a company called Cometeer, And I'm keep meaning to order some. I haven't done it yet. They sell frozen coffee juice pods.
Yeah.
It's concentrated coffee liquid, and so you can, dump it in hot water and it'll sublimate or whatever into real coffee, or you can make iced coffee with it. They have about 27 different brews. We drink a lot of coffee, my wife and I'm in a coffee club where I get different coffees from all over the world every month. I've never done iced coffee, and it's kind of on my to-do list. And Frank, I would rather get cancer than go to Starbucks. So that's just never going to happen. Ever.
Well, if you go to Starbucks, you will get cancer.
I've got a question. So I've made a little feed point, right?
You frightened me. I thought you were wielding or something there at us.
So I made a feed point, and we've got the spike going into the ground, right? Now imagine that this here is, so you can't see down there, can you? This here is the ground.
I don't want to.
Right?
Don't point. No pointing.
Okay. Now, if I attach the Faraday cloth or the magic carpet to the bottom of this, I'm both having a counterpoise and a ground. Don't you want?
I don't think you're having enough of a ground to matter.
Because this is where I've been looking at people who've tested the Faraday or the magic carpets. Everybody seems to be successful as soon as they don't have a stake into the ground. They have their antenna mounted on a tripod, and then they take a wire to that. So then you have like a pure capacitive couple to the ground. And then it seems to work better. At least this is what I'm observing. I'm going to have to do some of the testing. But I'm kind of curious if you guys had any insight into that, because I was always thinking like you can have a ground or a counterpoise, but rarely do you have both. And like if you have both on the same point, then...
Well, I'm thinking of a DX Commander. So...
No ground.
The base plate of it is laying on the ground, and it is connected to the ground lug, the shield, whatever you want to call it, of the SO239.
Yeah,
and
but it's not
literally laying on the ground.
Inches. Yeah, but it's not stuck in 6 inches. I think there's a big difference between sitting on top of, even going down.
I mean, it's capacitively coupled. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is it a distinction with a difference? Je ne sais pas.
See,
Try it, test it. I want to see.
Oh, you're not a Frenchie?
Yeah. No.
All you people
my
look
kids
alike.
are, not me though.
All you Canadians look alike to me. I mean, I thought your name was Jody when we started. That was for you, Jody.
No,
I don't know.
The Daves.
I don't know.
I'd be curious to see your results. I don't ever ground anything because I ain't got time for that. I do use the ground spike with radials, and I don't seem to notice much difference to using it with a tripod and radials.
I'm just, I don't know. It's just one of these things that's come up because I'm doing a lot of research on what a counterpoise is, what radials are, what a ground is, and they're all similar but different. And when you mix them, suddenly you're not really testing one or the other.
You and the Canuckastana Australian guy ought to get together with that, with him and his crazy antennas, and you and those questions.
Ham Jazz Simon.
Yeah.
No,
it's about Simon.
The Ken Australian.
Yeah.
Austro-Canadian. I don't know how to figure out what.
I know this is going to be surprising, but he's a hard guy to pin down.
Yeah, he's
totally surprised.
Yeah.
He changed his phone number after I called him too many times.
Okay. All right. Bricker, you beat me to it. We'll just go with that. Thank you.
Well,
they do sell a little ground spike.
Inches? Is it really 6 inches? So no, it's not. It's longer than 6 inches. I'm just saying.
I don't know why you have that.
So I can measure things.
Well, I mean, you got nothing else at 6 inches, so.
The one thing I like about this tattoo, though, somebody's like, is that for measuring? And I'm like, I don't know. Place your boys down here and let's find out. No one's taking me up on the offer.
Oh, my God.
I measure from the wrist.
I give it the benefit of the doubt. I give it 1.5 inches extra, right?
Yeah.
Or less. Less. Actually, yeah. I'm kind of cheating them.
We're going to need a bigger ruler. Yep.
Jim, are you done?
Oh, yeah, pretty much. RF Electronics or Black Magic.
Yep.
It's either experiment until the smoke comes out or goat sacrifice. Amen. And so is IT. Absolutely. Some days it's science, some days it's quantum mechanics, and the other days it's witchcraft.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I took it apart, I put it back together, it works, and you're like, what was different? And you're like, I don't know.
What did I change?
No.
I can't tell.
Yep.
I changed nothing, and now the damn thing works right.
Yep.
It's like this stupid camera.
And you were bragging about how you saved money and didn't get the Pocket 3.
Well, and it's
Now, you know.
this is a PEBCAC issue here, because there's this should be face tracking on and off, and I think, yep, it's on. And then this should be 2x zoom. I'm not going to do it like a loser sign, and then 2 loser signs on either side is supposed to dynamically zoom. I haven't gotten that one to work yet. Plus,
So
there's
2
like
loser
50
signs like this?
diopposing
this?
loser signs like that. So
What was the ding? That's the second time I heard the ding.
That would be the CAARC net that's coming up. It's a calendar thing for my
That's
computer.
Autumn telling you you've gone overtime.
Yeah.
right.
She's probably asleep by now.
Bob, you're
Right, so some-
exactly correct.
Yep.
So some closing remarks to get us out of here. This was the first Monday of the month Q&A show. There is a form in the description of the video to enter your questions for next week. If you are a winner, there's a form in the description to tell us who you are and how to send the prizes to you.
Yep.
There is also, tomorrow is Prime Day, Amazon Prime Day. I'm going to be doing a live stream. I've got a bunch of giveaways. People are talking about the stuff that they want. I should be giving away some radios and some batteries and some other cool stuff for ham radio type
What time
type
is that?
things. I don't know.
I mean, you're telling
because
us
I'm in a
about
different
it.
time zone. I'm in
We'll translate.
That's what you have to use UTC for.
I'm in Mountain Time.
So that's an hour behind
And-
God's time. Unless you're in Arizona, then it might be 2.
God's
My computer is set
Really?
in Central
Is that-
Time
Central
because all the
Time.
YouTubers do Central Time. So 10 a.m. tomorrow Central Time. Giveaways and all kinds of stuff. And then we're going to go over all the Prime Day deals and everything. So join me on that. And if you want to get a head start on some of the deals, there is the Swap Meet room in the Toads Discord. I just put some stuff up for sale there.
Yeah.
And Garth already beat you to some of it. So I got to take care of that after the show. The Toads digital interface boards are back in stock temporarily. Offline.com is online again. You can get yours. We already had some people put some orders in during the show. Thank you all. And the DB6, the 6-pin daughter boards, are headed to the shipping department, to the warehouse, and they will be around. Jim's turning lights off. It's like, time to go.
Oh,
Last
turning them
call.
off. I was
2
tired of-
a.m.
I was tired
There,
of them in my
better.
face.
that could be one of the
Yeah.
cool guys.
I can't turn off that one.
This is
without
where the
getting up.
bouncers start rounding everybody up. Everybody out.
So thank you all. You guys are awesome, and I'm glad you were here, and we had a bunch of fun together. And Ben, check out Ben's YouTube channel and also his Faraday antenna magic stuff that he makes.
Yeah,
I didn't say Faraday that time, but they are J-poles.
they are.
Click
Indeed.
the button.
Do it.
Click, click.
I have a channel